Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So let's start discussion about the microservices now. Okay. So as per the microservices requirement, when you are learning anything, you have to first define it, right? So the same way, let's define the microservices first. So definition of microservices as per the book, a software development techniques that structures an application as a collection of loosely coupled services. Let me repeat again, a software development technique that structures an application as a collection of loosely coupled services, right? The next point in this, like what are the key characteristics of microservices? Okay. So the brief list here is like modularity, scalability, flexibility, resilience, easy to maintain and deploy, right? So these are few characteristics of microservices. And these characteristics is making this as a very powerful tool in comparison to monolithic architecture. We will go in detail. In that time, we will understand these keywords in detail, and then we will realize that how powerful is this microservice architecture concept. The next point is communication protocol, right? So in microservices, the communication protocol is lightweight and often it is considered like HTTP REST API or gRPC. Okay, so the protocol is lightweight, often HTTP REST or gRPC. Okay. The next point is how we are managing data inside microservices. So this is briefly to understand here that the data management in microservices happened or assumed like each service manages its own database, right? Now this is making little complex microservice architecture also. So I will definitely explain you this when I will discuss what is exactly is the disadvantage of microservices. At that time I will explain this also. But as of now, you just try to understand that our data management in microservices is like every microservice own their database and every microservice will manage their own database, right? Another key point I would like to discuss now, design patterns, tools and techniques. So few list of design pattern which is very handy for understanding the uh, microservices, and these patterns are API gateway, circuit breaker, event sourcing, and so on and so forth. So these are few examples. There are many one. I will explain more patterns when I will come in detail section, right? Then when you talk about the tools and techniques which is useful in microservices, and those techniques like Docker, and those tools primarily called as Docker, Kubernetes, and CI/CD pipelines. See, microservices is definitely better than monolithic in some sense, but it is also creating lots of complexity. And so management of these, due to these complexity, management is also not very easy. So my point here is that we should always think or understand this is kind of a balancing act. And that's why you have seen that or you have heard that many scenario it happens that uh, people moving from monolithic to microservices usually, but there are some scenarios where people are moving from microservices to monolithic. And I have, if I remember, I think uh, Netflix, one example from Netflix games recently, I don't remember exact news, but I think Netflix or it is from Amazon who has switched from microservices to monolithic architecture. So I will try to find it, and if I will find it, I definitely mention in some video. Okay. Now we cover definition, key characteristics, communication, protocol, data management, and design patterns, tools, and technologies. Now let's discuss the advantage and challenges. So when we discuss about the advantage of microservice, the first thing comes is agility. Now your services are agile one because it is broken into small pieces which is served as a segregated services, right? So you are always agilent by using this technique. The next benefit of breaking down these components or service at granular level is giving the benefit in scalability. So that point is very important. And because of this structure and broken deployment and maintenance, it is always ready to ship. So speed of delivery is enhanced here comparison to monolithic architecture, right? So these are few examples of advantage. We will go in detail later. Then let's discuss the challenges. And so challenges here is like complex service management. As I already explained you, there are now in this scenario, you have many microservice to communicate to each other, which is creating a complexity in service management. Then data consistency is not easy now. And then due to their integration requirement, the testing is also not very easy now. So these are few disadvantages of microservice architecture. Thank you. Thank you for completing this video. And I hope that you definitely have learned something which will help you in your system design interview. Hope to see you in next video with new concept and skills needed for the system design interview. By then, keep learning, keep improving, and keep sharing your knowledge.